Now we go to formless sphere consciousness, or arupa vacara citta. Rupa means form, right? Arupa means formless. So, arupa vacara means that all these types of consciousness mostly move or roam about the four formless realms. Arupa vacara citta is of three types: kusala citta, wholesome consciousness; vipaka citta, resultant consciousness; and kiriya citta, functional consciousness. See? They're the same as before. And likewise, if you memorize the first group, then the next two groups are easy to remember because they have the same names. The types of consciousness include 1. Akasanan. This is jhana having infinite space as the object. 2. Vijnanankayatana. This is jhana having infinite first arupavicara consciousness as the object. 3. Akinkanayatanupagga. This is jhana having the absence of first arupavicara consciousness as the object. 4. Eva sanya najanayatana. This is jhana with its concomitants neither with perception nor with non-perception. Don't worry, I'll be explaining all of this to you. For someone who has already gained the fifth jhana of form sphere consciousness, what should be done to gain formless sphere consciousness? If the meditator wants to develop arupa jhana, he needs to concentrate on a conceptualized image, or padabhaga nimitta. He concentrates on this kasina object until a faint light, somewhat like the light of a firefly, issues from the object. The meditator then wants this light to grow bigger and bigger. When it does, what does he see? Nothing, there is only light pointing everywhere, throughout space. He concentrates on the light pointing everywhere and thinks, infinite space, infinite space, infinite space, again and again and again, until he develops the first arupajhana. This is how to practice to go from rupajhana to arupajhana. Of course, in order to gain arupajhana we must have first gained rupajhana and developed it all the way to the fifth rupajhana. This first arupajhana is called akasanankayatana. This first arupajhana consciousness dwells on the infinity of space. We see nothing but space. Now, what do we have to do if we want to gain the second arupajhana? We have to concentrate on the first arupa kusala citta and think about the infinity of consciousness. We think this many times until we develop the second arupajhana. To develop the third arupajhana, we contemplate on the first arupa kusala citta and reflect that there is nothing whatsoever. We think this many times until we develop and gain the third arupajhana. To develop the fourth arupajhana, we contemplate on the third arupa kusala citta and reflect that it is serene and noble. Nowadays, not too many people are interested in gaining arupajhana. Why would a meditator want to gain arupajhana? What do you think? There is no body in the four arupa realms, only mind. All they have is consciousness. People have been practicing this type of jhana since before the Buddha's time. Why? These people thought about how we have to go to work every day, as an example. Why do we have to work every day? We have eyes, ears, nose, tongue, and body. We go to work every day to serve the needs of these five senses. We want to see a big television and beautiful things, hear pleasant sounds, eat tasty foods, stay in fancy homes, and have good cars. Do you think a blind person cares if he has a big television? No. Why? Because he can't see. So these meditators back then used to think that it's because of this body that we suffer. Because of this body there is lobha, dosa, moha, jealousy, conceit, and so on. Why is that? It's because of the things we see, we hear, we smell, we taste, and we touch. And because of this body, mental defilements arise. So if there's no body, then there are no mental defilements. This is how they would think. They figured that after they gained arupajhana they would be reborn in the arupabrahma realm, i.e., the formless sphere, where they wouldn't have a body and wouldn't have to serve the eyes, ears, nose, tongue and body. As such, there'd be no mental defilements, and therefore, nothing but peace. With this wish to be reborn in the Brahma realm, they practiced this meditation. After they died, they were reborn in the Arupa realm, according to their willpower. Similarly, there is a mindless realm. It belongs to the fourth Rupajhana plane. In this realm, beings have body but no mind. In order to be reborn in this realm, we have to gain fifth jhana. So what does a meditator who desires the mindless realm think? He thinks it would be better to have a body that doesn't know anything, like a dead body. What does he want? Just a corpse, nothing. Why? It is because of the mind that we suffer, we cry, and we go to hell. Every day we have to work and bother. Why? Because of this mind. This type of meditator thinks that if there is no mind, then the body won't want anything. Even if the body has eyes, if there's no consciousness then it won't want to see anything. They think that because of mind we suffer and have to be reborn again and again. They think that mental defilements arise moment by moment because of mind. So if there is no mind, there will be only peace. They think like this, and so they develop and gain the fifth rupajhana. According to their wishes, when they die they are reborn in the mindless sphere, where they have only body and no mind. So this is how these two types of meditator think. But the Buddha said, Sab Sankara Dukkha, which means that all conditioned things, mind and matter, are suffering. In other words, if you have mind, you'll suffer about your mind, and if you have body, you'll suffer about your body. See, the first group of meditators thought that if they had mind but no body, they'd be peaceful. But this isn't true. The Buddha taught about suffering, and he taught that nibbana is no mind and no matter. Even beings reborn in the Arupa Brahma, formless sphere, realm must eventually die, and if they're still a worldling person they'll be reborn in the sense sphere plane in either the human or celestial realms. Of course, if they gain any of the stages of enlightenment they won't come down anymore from their Arupa Brahma realm. But if all they've done is gain jhana, no enlightenment, they must eventually be reborn in a lower state. It's the same for a being in the mindless sphere. After their lifespan is over, they have to be reborn in the sense sphere realm again. This is why we have to practice meditation until we gain enlightenment. Then, we cannot be reborn in the lower realms again. We can only be reborn higher and higher, until we gain parinibbana. These types of meditation I've been talking about are different from how we practice to gain enlightenment. Generally, mind and matter are interrelated, interdependent and inseparable. But by our willpower it's possible for mind to be separated from the body. Again, we're talking here about the formless sphere, where there's just mind. It takes many years, many lifetimes, even, to gain arupajhana. Although some people think it's impossible, nowadays there are also people who lie down and cultivate an out-of-body experience. That is, their mind leaves their body and looks back at the body, or perhaps the mind goes off and looks around. This is a practice to separate mind and body. Some meditators practice this way. We can too, if we want. If someone gains the first arupajhana, when they die they will be reborn in the first arupajhana realm, which is called akasaнаnkayatana. What is their rebirth consciousness? It is the first arupa resultant consciousness. If they gain the second arupajhana, they will be reborn in the second arupajhana realm, which is called vijñānankayatana. Their rebirth consciousness should be the second resultant arupajhana. When they gain the third arupajhana, they will be reborn in the third arupajhana realm, which is called akinkānayatanupaga. And if they gain the fourth arupajhana, they will be reborn in the Aniva Sanya Najanayatana realm. Their rebirth consciousness is the fourth arupajhana resultant consciousness. See, these arupajhana have their corresponding effects in the arupa spheres. There are also 4 types of functional consciousness. These are experienced by Buddhas and Arahants only. This type of consciousness just functions, it just happens, but with no results anymore. So, among arupajhana, formless sphere, consciousness, we have altogether 12 types. 4 types of formless sphere wholesome consciousness, 4 types of formless sphere resultant consciousness, and 4 types of formless sphere functional consciousness. Among the Rupasiddha and Arupasiddha, how many types do we have? We have 15 types of Rupasiddha and these 12 types of Arupasiddha. Altogether, there are these 27 types of consciousness. Collectively, we call these 27 types of consciousness Mahagata. Maha means great or big, and Gata means gone. So, Mahagata means great gone too. The term refers to higher levels of consciousness. We've finished talking about the 54 types of sense sphere consciousness, the 15 types of form sphere consciousness, and the 12 types of formless sphere consciousness. Altogether, there are these 81 types of consciousness. Collectively, they are called Lokyasiddha, or mundane consciousness. Any questions about what we've talked about so far? No questions? We're studying our mind, our consciousness. Mostly unwholesome consciousness arises, right? Sometimes, there's resultant consciousness, like if we see good and desirable things, or bad and undesirable things. This is resultant consciousness, the result of our previous karma, good or bad. As a result of our consciousness, whether wholesome or unwholesome, resultant consciousness arises either in this life or in a future life. For Buddhas and Arahants, though, there is just functional consciousness, no results in the future, it just functions. Next week, we'll be talking about when we gain enlightenment, the 4 paths and 4 fruits. It is very detailed and important. We call it Lokutra. For today, though, I think time's up. May all of you practice well. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.